Yo, what's up? My name is Patrouski, and today I'm here to show you guys my top 5 PokeMMO helpful websites you can use to help your PokeMMO journey. It's been quite a few years or so, like 4 years or so in PokeMMO. So many websites have popped up being dedicated helpful resources to the game. It's something I could have never imagined if you asked me 3 years ago, and there's some really incredible stuff I want to talk about today, such as tracking your investments very directly, shiny leaderboards, tons of damage calculators and tools, tons of great stuff. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Number 1 is going to be, they're also ranked in no particular order, they're just kind of in an order. Number 1 is going to be PokeMMO Zone, the newest comer on this list from my understanding, already adding a ton of stuff like a shiny leaderboard, which is super cool to see. Now here are the list of all the teams in PokeMMO and their number of shinies. You can see their members, etc, and then all of them ranked in this order. You can also see the players. Now the way they get this data, it's not perfect. You can't just straight up get it from in-game. There's no like perfect system. This is the closest system that we have so far to the best shiny leaderboard in PokeMMO. You can search Patrouski and see where I'm at. I'm at a lowly rank 90 with a total of 40 shinies. I'm working on getting that number up, but you know what? Not too shabby, I guess. Could be worse, right? So essentially what they do is they take all of the team showcases on the PokeMMO Forums. So they're scraping data from the PokeMMO Forums, from my understanding. I think there's actually an FAQ that explains this somewhere on the website as well, but there's a lot of people. This is a really dedicated project from someone who just really cared about doing this sort of thing, which I think is amazing. And it also adds extra value. Almost 2,000 players are on this list, which is amazing. It adds extra value to, if you want to, you got to make a team showcase. If you're a serious shiny hunting team in PokeMMO, it is more important than ever to make a team showcase, actually logging all of your shinies, who has what, etc. It's a really important way to flex your stuff as a team and also just show some recognition, etc. So let's continue onward. That's one of the biggest pieces of the site. That's just one piece about it. There's also obviously more about the site. There's like some guides. I think this is much more, this needs to be worked on in the future. They're just going to start working on that from now on. But the damage calculator is a big one. This is actually going to be its own number on this list. This is just the Pokemon Showdown damage calculator from my understanding. But it has been adapted to some extent. Yeah, it's a Showdown damage calculator adapted for PokeMMO, which is really cool to see. So you can click for dark theme, which there you go. Save your eyes. Sorry about the light mode there, but definitely something that I use a fair bit. I usually just go to the Pokemon Showdown one, but I probably should honestly start using this just in case there's any numerical differences. From there, you can also, a really helpful one to a lot of players is the PokeMMO Pokedex. If you don't have something on an alt account or don't have something on your main account, being able to sort via very specific things, see all of the monster egg group Pokemon in one click, being able to see the unobtainable Pokemon in PokeMMO. Let's do actually select egg group. Boom, there we go. You can see all the Pokemon that are like technically in the Pokedex, but like are unobtainable. You could see things based on gender rate to understand like what Pokemon may be more valuable as females. Things like Eevee, for example, right? Like there's so much stuff you can do here. It's very cool. You can search for like move sets. This is really good for like egg breeding or egg moves, breeding over certain specific egg moves onto Pokemon. You can search by PvP tiers if you're not online at the moment. You can search for ability. Like this is like a really helpful resource. Whew, got just in time, but caught the tail end of a sneeze there. Apologies. Anyways, so yeah, the Pokedex stuff is super good. You can go over to the move Pokedex to just sort by straight up moves to see what Pokemon have access to them. You have your item Pokedex, which goes over all the items in PokeMMO and what they do, as well as just all towards this is just PokeMMO Time. This is one that I use a ton, or I've started to use a ton. I'm really not move too quickly. Let's go back to like encounters and stuff. Like you can see what Pokemon are on what route. This is an amazing tool that I didn't even know this was here. I'm gonna start recommending to players way more often because this is a phenomenal, fantastic tool that takes a long time to actually go into the game and test all of this information. There's just way more here than I even expected. You can have a nice team builder. Back in the day, you would just use Pokemon Showdown, but having a team builder to help set up your PvP teams and plan things out in the future, or even raid teams for that matter, is gonna be super helpful. This one is one of my favorites on this website, PokeMMO Zone's PokeMMO Time, where it tracks all of the roaming legendaries. It tracks Entei, Suicune, Raikou, Zapdos, Moltres, Articuno, like what the current month is. So currently, right now, as I'm recording, Suicune and Moltres, but it's going to switch in 3 days or so over to Raikou and Articuno. You can see the season in game, all this kinds of information. And a big one for me, I love Altering Cave. I want to go for an Altering Cave shiny. It's kind of just a nostalgic personal goal of mine. So being able to hop on this and see what Altering Cave cycle it is right now. For those who don't know, Altering Cave is an old mechanic in PokeMMO that was used to introduce Gen 2 and Gen 3 Pokemon way back in the day, back in like 2013, 2014. It was a big part of the game. And it was used to bring these Pokemon. But essentially, the spawns in that cave cycle out every 6 hours or so. So right now it's 100% Zubat, which is hilarious. Or sorry, previous cycle, it was previously 100% Zubat. Right now, it is these chances for Unknown, Mawile, Poochyena, Mareep, Teddiursa, you know, etc. And then next cycle, in 45 minutes, it will switch over to Absol, Duskull, Shuppet, you know, Apom, etc. So not a really used piece of content nowadays, but I love it personally, and I do want a shiny there. So tons of great stuff on PokeMMO Zone. I feel like it's a massive sleeper website right now. Arguably the best, or one of the best by far. Link in the description. Check out PokeMMO Zone. It may be obvious, but sometimes when I talk positively about things, people are like, oh, you know, sponsored by the way. Blah, blah. I'm not sponsored by either any of these sites. These are just passion projects. These are just helpful tools that people can use while playing PokeMMO, and I just think they're awesome, and I use them myself. That's all it really is. Next up, number 2, PokeMMO Hub. Now, once again, another tool that I use a ton for thumbnails and just testing certain things. The Cosmetic Helper, one of my most number one used tools on any PokeMMO website, honestly, is the Cosmetic Helper. Being able to look through and type specific things. Like I want to like an Electric Storm character for a thumbnail, show off some like super dope, expensive drip, right? I would select the Electric Storm. It's been a little laggy at the moment, so apologies for that, but you would switch over. There you go. It's taking a little sec to register, but you would switch it over to the Electric Storm. You could select your hair color. You could do tons of stuff. You could even randomize your character, which I think is super cool. I don't know why it's being so slow right now, apologies, but you could randomize your character fully and just find out about new vanities, find out about new things. I think this is a really cool way to discover new vanities and discover what theory craft, kind of what vanity, what outfit you want to have. Like if the team builder is for PvP and for raids, this is for, you know, your cosmetics, for building your outfits, which is, you know, drip and fashionscape is a big part of the end game of PokeMMO. So that is the Cosmetic Helper, which I use a ton. There's some other things like the Berry Helper in terms of like the return on your berries, the grow time, the seeds required to plant all of these berries. Super, super helpful information right there at your disposal. The Archetype Encounter Counter, which I should probably jump to pretty soon. Once again, another sort of on-website Pokedex as well with tons of information. And then, in my opinion, one of the more important ones, or what this has that is so different, I think the two things are Cosmetic Helper, and then my second favorite thing on this website is the GTL investments page. As you can see, this is actually, I'm actually logged in, and this was I was logged in at my Mysterious Ball investments. Now, I've actually sold off a lot of these since making these, you know, logged or whatever, but as you can see here, I was pretty lucky on my Mysterious Balls, that I've made a bunch of Pokeyen on return. I actually just logged my Mysterious Dusk Balls, though. Haven't really made too much on those, but yeah, being able to log your investments and see the progress is super important. I think it's super cool and it adds a lot. But the next thing is just viewing all of the items. If I want to, you know, search here, Mysterious, you can actually see all my previous, actually you can't really, Trick Kitty, let's go for example. You can click on Trick Kitty and head over to the market and see, after it takes a sec to load, you can see the history of these items. And that is super, super important when it comes to investing and making financial decisions in any market, in any video game. Seeing the history of an item is so crucial. So here we can see the graph. I've done a few videos using this resource in the past, and as we can see, Trick Kitty has actually been slowly going down over the past, let's see, since June 2024. So if we zoom back out, we can see when it released back in November, it looks like November of 2023 is back when it first started getting tracked, and you can see it go down to about 4.4 mil, 4.5, 4.3, all the way now at its lowest price at around 3.7/4 mil-ish flat. So you can see the history of these items to know whether they're going down, whether they're going up, whether it's a good time to buy at the dip, should you know, sell at the peak, like what to do. Stuff like this is super, super cool. We see a bunch of different rises here. We see one in March, we see another rise in May. So we're seeing certain movements at certain times. Seeing the history of an item is such an incredible resource to understand when a buyout is happening or something like that. As you can see, look at this. This is like the beginning of Shiny Wars, right? Here's the beginning of Shiny Wars, and here is the end of Shiny Wars, essentially, slash over with the Halloween event. Look at this. Wait, that's crazy. This is before the Halloween event, and then when the Halloween event started, look at this. Mysterious Pokeballs went from 40 to 41k a piece down to 25, 30k a piece because people were panic selling them. In preparation for the Halloween event, or I guess during the Halloween event, to be able to get all the items. Like, this tells me, like, even, you know, just watching this live and reacting to this live basically shows me and tells me, hey, Mysterious Pokeballs might be a good investment, right? They were 41k, they tanked down to 20 to 25k. They're slowly rising back up to around 30k or so, and they tanked because people were panic selling them to be able to pick up all the recent Halloween items. So, perfect example of how market history and data really lets you make good investments. So always keep this in mind. Always view it before you invest in any item in PokeMMO. I would recommend checking out PokeMMO Hub and checking out the item's history. It is so important. We can do the retro games handheld, which I've been talking about as a super underrated vanity from like 2018, 2020, something like that. And now this vanity is so old that it hasn't been around for as long, or it's been around for much longer than PokeMMO Hub has been around. PokeMMO Hub was created around 2022, so we have data from August 29th, 2022 up until November 25th, 2024. Back then when it was created, the retro games, you can see how many items of it are selling. We can see like, oh, like 10 or so are selling a day at that point, 5 or so a day, around 10 or so on average, selling for around 700k Pokeyen. Here there was a buyout. You can always see when a buyout happens and how that affects the market and how, you know, et cetera. You can see here now there's like 20 a day kind of items on the market. Now, oh, it slowly rose from around 500k here to around 1 mil. So we can see that this item has been to around 1 mil or so, 1.3 mil in the past historically. You can see here it rose to about what's crazy number. You can see a lot of crazy shenanigans here. Like, is that 2 mil or so? What's happening? I'm not even sure what's happening there. But yeah, you can see that. So this item's been around 1 mil or so many times, and right now it's around 580k. So it might be a decent time to pick up an item like this and then just see if it raises to 1 mil again. Like, it seems to constantly spike up to 1 mil or so every few months. So just keeping an eye on stuff like that is super important. Market history is crucial. If you want to make Pokeyen and PokeMMO, if you want to make investments, I think if you aren't using PokeMMO Hub, you're just at a severe disadvantage, okay? Next up, number 3 on this list is going to be the PokeMMO Wiki. Now, we may not be as lucky as the RuneScape community. Their wiki is phenomenal, same with things like Stardew Valley, but the PokeMMO Wiki has been getting worked on over the past few years. It used to be an actual barren wasteland. Like, it was so bad for a really long time, okay? And there's not that many people working on it, obviously, but people are trying. They're trying their best, and there's been a lot of things done, a lot more added over the past few years. And anybody who helps to work on the PokeMMO Wiki is a hero in my book, and it goes an extremely long way to help the community. I think the average casual player, the first thing they do when they want to look up resources for a game, a lot of times is to head over to the wiki. So if the wiki is blank, it can be a bit rough. Using the wiki was crucial for me during my PokeMMO Nuzlocke, for example, looking up certain trainers and what Pokemon they may have access to, etc., like what combos and things to be aware of, and even items, etc. Now, it's not perfect, so if you are doing a Nuzlocke and you're using the PokeMMO Wiki, please keep in mind they don't always have all the information. Like, a lot of it's missing, as you can see. A lot of times they're going to be missing information on that random trainer on the SSN that happens to have a Fire Gem Growlithe with Fire Blast for whatever reason. So just keep that in mind. There's definitely some stuff missing, so don't read the wiki and take it as absolute fact, but it's a pretty cool resource. You can see all of the different moves here with the costs they have for their move tutors. Don't sleep on the wiki either. I think it's a fine line between saying the wiki is useless and also treating it like an absolute amazing, perfect resource of perfect information, right? I think it's a middle ground in between the two. It has some really good stuff at times, but it is also missing a lot. So that is number 3, I believe. Number 4 is the PokeMMO Forums. The forums are super underutilized. Like, the forums probably should be the #1 website that every player, like, wake up, kind of check your morning emails, check the morning news, check the PokeMMO Forums. It's kind of like the strat, the thing that I am doing a lot of times. Now, you don't want to spend too much time on the forums because it'll drive you a little crazy. There are, I'm going to be honest, I followed all of the mods recently, or like all of the community managers and staff members, and almost every single post is someone saying, I got banned for no reason. And the devs being like, no, you actually got banned because you made legal threats or or something of the sort. So it's always kind of funny. So you don't want to drive yourself crazy and go through all the shenanigans on the forums. But other than that, you can see the announcements, the game updates. You can see things in the trade corner. If you want to see what high-level players are sort of trading and selling, you can see 2013 Pokemon. You can see certain competitive Pokemon, boxes of specific Pokemon. There's things like raffles on the forums. This guy is trying to trade / sell his Electric Storm, one of the rarest vanities in PokeMMO. There's tons of cool stuff. The competition alley. I think the biggest one for players to check is just the official events and the unofficial events. The unofficial events are so underrated. If you want to participate in events that have, you know, less players, you have a higher chance of winning, doing things like unofficial catch events, things like fashion contests. I know Your Cute's fashion contest right now has a over 52 million, I believe, 52 million Pokeyen prize pool. So if you want to win a ton of Pokeyen by just having some sick drip and looking cool in PokeMMO, that is one of the best ways to do so. There are so many things you can do in the unofficial events, and we can head back to official events, so people don't realize how many catch events are happening in PokeMMO all the time. There's so many catch events. There's like 3 to 4 catch events a week. I feel like there's tons of PvP automated tournaments. There's a screenshot competition that ends tomorrow that I did a video on, for example. There is so much happening in PokeMMO in terms of events all the time. You could easily participate in like one event every single day in PokeMMO if you really wanted to. And if you don't really care about efficiency and doing events and like the trade corner and whatever, you can also learn about PvP. And there's like PvP discussion. That's like a big one. Is I think most of the high-level PvP players are in tune with the competition alley. But if you're more casual, you can go to the lounge as well and just introduce yourself and meet new friends and other people that play this game and care about the game. You can join a team via the forums. The forums is just, I think it's everything core to PokeMMO. You see a lot of the hot topics over here, like PvP movement discussion and the current seasonal PvE catch event coming up, for example. So just don't sleep on the forums. I feel like it needs to be a core part of every PokeMMO player's experience, but it's kind of archaic. I think people aren't a huge fan of it, which is why I do a lot of videos covering information on the forums, so not everybody has to read it. So I try to keep up to date on that as much as possible. And then number 5, the final website that I want to talk about, kind of a cop-out, you know, fair. It's going to be YouTube / Twitch / also Bilibili. Don't sleep on Bilibili. Even if you're like an English-speaking or Spanish-speaking player, Bilibili is a generally, I think, considered Chinese website. It's essentially what they use in China as YouTube, and it's where all their PokeMMO content is. It's over on Bilibili is what the website's called. And there can be a lot of resources over there, or a lot of like really hardcore dedicated strategies that we don't always get over here or know about or are difficult to translate. So you can actually, I think, you know, Google Chrome can like auto translate the website for you. Whenever I hop over to it, it gives me that option. So always try to keep that in mind and abuse that if possible. But number 5, YouTube, Twitch / Bilibili for guides, information, and social stuff, whatever you want to do. You're watching it right now. So if you're probably know about this, but that's the top 5 most helpful PokeMMO websites that I am aware of. There's a lot of stuff that a lot of people sleep on and are underrated. So hopefully this video was helpful. If it was, leave a like on it. That helps me tremendously. Dislike if you didn't enjoy it or none of this was helpful to you or new to you. Super understandable. Subscribe for daily PokeMMO videos every single day. Follow me on Twitch and or YouTube for streams Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. Discord is linked down below if you're interested in that. And if you want to go above and beyond and support me and my content and make this even all possible, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, and PayPal / Venmo does go an extremely long way. Thanks for watching and have a good day. Hopefully some of this will help your PokeMMO journey. Hey, what's up? Patrouski here, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching until the very end of the video. That means the world to me, and if your name is listed here, that means you went above and beyond and supported the channel financially, which allows me to even be here and have the time to do this. So thank you so very much.